Over the years, I've picked up a bunch of cool secrets when it comes to installing doorknobs. I'm going to show those to you as well, show you how to avoid the most common mistakes. First thing you want to do is put the strike plate on. Now, if you have a strike plate that has more of a square edge and your old one had rounded edges, or the door that you have is not lining up, what you want to do is install the strike plate. Obviously, it's not going to sit flush. Take a utility knife, put the blade out just a little ways, and then just kind of stab your way around to trace out the new plate. Remove the plate, make the lines a little deeper, and then just slowly chisel out the wood so that you have a nice recessed area for the new plate. In this case here, this is just an old plate that came off, so it fits in nicely. If you have a new door, you don't want to just throw the screws in there without pre-drilling. If you don't pre-drill, it doesn't happen all the time, but it can. You can get a split in the jamb. So I always pre-drill. You want to find a drill bit that is about the same size or slightly smaller than the shank of the screw. If you don't have a drill, what you can do here with the screws in order to avoid splitting the jamb is just snip the tip of the screw off. If you have some pliers or some side cutters, chop that little wedge part off the end of the screw. I'm not exactly sure why it works, but it does. One thing about these strike plates, a lot of people don't know this, but this little tab in here, if you take a flat screwdriver, once this is installed, you can bend this tab out. That's going to push up against your little latch. That's going to keep your door from rattling. And then when it comes to putting these screws in here, if you have a drill, drills are going to be great. If you're just out there and you got yourself an impact drill, impactors are not really the tool when it comes to installing doorknobs. You don't need 1,200 pounds of force when you're just putting in a tiny screw. It can do a lot of damage. So I'll use my drill, but in this case here, it's very easy to just use a hand screwdriver as well. Snug those in there. When it comes to the knob, the first thing you want to do is put the latch in. Now these latches, they're going to be adjustable either into the short position or the longer position. It's either 2 3/4 inches from the center of the hole to the edge of the door, or 2 3/8. This one here is 2 3/4, so I'm going to slide it out to the long position. You can just hold that up to the door and make sure that it's nice and centered here with this circular hole. Now, when you're going to put this latch in, you want to just take your time, get it just kind of sitting there, and make sure that it's perfectly up and down. If you're off kilter a little bit, the mechanism is not going to work properly. Now, if it's a brand new door, this is going to be hard to push in. If it's an older door, you might be able to get it in with your thumb and just give it a good tweak there. What you want to avoid here is just taking a hammer and smacking this thing in. The latch hardware, this is not a robust mechanism here. I think these things are designed to break after about 10 years. Don't start smacking this in with a hammer. You're going to damage your door. You're going to break the latch. Grab yourself a block of wood, depress the latch, and just give it a few smacks. You want to make sure that this is flush with the outer part of the door. If it's sticking out a bit, you might have to move the block kind of off to the side and get it sitting nice and flush. If it is sticking out, it might hit the strike plate and keep the door from closing. Then you want to grab the outside part of the doorknob. Now this is a privacy knob, so this has a little locking mechanism. Make sure that it's not locked and that the knob is spinning freely. If it is locked, this is going to be the mechanism right here. Give that a little spin into the free position. Put the knob in. It can only go in one way. If you have it backwards, it's not going to fit. So you'll figure that out pretty quick. Slide this in and then just get a bit of a feel for the knob. If you have a heavier lever type knob, some of those are prone to just falling on the ground. So you're going to want to keep your hand on it the whole time. This one here is pretty good, but just be careful. These are sometimes apt to just slip out, fall, damage your knob, damage the floor. Next step here, this is a 3-piece apparatus on the other side here where there's a little plate that snaps on and the knob. We'll go over that. But this is the next piece here that you want to do. Now this plate here has the ability to pre-insert the screws and then spin it together. I don't like doing that because it's hard to get everything lined up. I like to just go the old-fashioned route and put this on and then pop the screws in. In order to see what you're doing too, when it comes to putting the screws in, don't put these in initially with a drill or anything like that. You want to make sure that they're threading properly. And then if you want to see what you're kind of aiming for, just pull this slightly back so you have a visual as to where that's going in. Hand tighten it. Make sure it's threading in nice and free. It's not slipping out. We'll pop the other one in. Once those are both hand tight, at this point, if you have a drill, that's the way to go. Impact driver, not a great tool for this job. Now when it comes to tightening these, don't snug them up all the way at this point. Get them close with just a little bit of slop in the plate. So I've got that back plate on there. There's still a little bit of play in the knob here. The mistake that most people make, myself included, I've made it in the past, is just tightening them right up. If you're not quite aligned perfectly, it's gonna wanna bind when you go to twist the knob. So I'm nice and loose here. Check it out, make sure everything's spinning, is in proper alignment. Grip that outside knob with your hand there. At this point, you don't really wanna use a drill. You wanna hand tighten these. Go ahead and snug those up, hand tight. You don't have to overly tighten them. That's nice and snug. Check it one more time, it's working well. Next thing you do here is, this is the beauty plate that hides the screws. That just snaps right into place. There's no kind of alignment. It can snap anywhere. Snap that on. The knob here has a little hole. There's going to be a corresponding little knob that you depress. You can do that with your finger. Push that in, slip that on. There you go. And if you're taking off a bunch of doorknobs, and you want to see how to do that in 25 seconds or less without damaging anything, check out this video right over here. You want some secrets? Oh, I've said this opening part 15, 20, 30 times. I am driving myself mentally insane. Why do I keep doing this?